This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Welcome to the NBA Team Podcast. I am Andrew Riche. I am joined by my co-host, Adam Murray. Adam, Steph Curry, he did it again, man. He got 2 on the road against San Antonio with electrifying performances. Now they're going back to Golden State. They're down 0-2 in the playoffs. The Spurs had a great year, but I think it's over for them.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Steph finally Under Armour finally abandoned Steph because they had him for so long and still couldn't make money.
So I have to assume Nike's coming in to take Curry. That's my assumption.
Of course.
I could be wrong. It could be Adidas. But yeah, I did see that Curry and Under Armour are basically getting a divorce. It's an infamous story about how Steph and his dad Dell went to the Nike meeting and they misspelled his name on the PowerPoint. They thought Del Curry was a different player, Dale Ellis. It was a complete mess. And that's why he went to Under Armour, and then he became a super duper star under their brand. But I'm not really, I'll say maybe I'm maybe I'm letting down the listeners here. I've never been a real deep diver in the apparel game and the shoe game when it comes to the NBA. So when people talk about who makes the most in shoe endorsements, I really don't know, or who has the best shoes, or who has the top selling brands other than Jordan. It's hard. I wish I knew more, but I guess that's a big deal that Curry is leaving Under Armour.
Well, yeah. Under Armour tried. That was their foray into the market the same way. Didn't Kawhi sign with somebody?
New Balance.
Yeah,
their commercials are all over TV when during the season.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're selling product. And if you're paying Steph, and Under Armour tried, I know they sponsor their hometown Maryland athletics and but it's a Nike and Adidas game, and you've seen other companies. It just doesn't every once in a while somebody will sign the Chinese wanted to bring their shoes in, and it just doesn't work because Nike has the everything the same way everything's on ESPN. But I know that's not our top story today, so I don't know how.
Well, whether he was wearing Under Armour's, Nikes, New Balance, those cheap Walmart starter brand that Shaq used, it didn't matter what the fuck he wore. He absolutely lit up the Spurs like a Christmas tree. The first game was a little more distant. I think the Warriors won that by about 10, or it says 5 at the end, but I felt like it was not that close, the first one. The second one, which was on Prime, was fantastic, where it came down to game-winning free throws. Draymond Green got posterized and had a moment where he was staring at Victor's chest, and then he had to look up and notice that he dunked on. It was a really cool game, but Curry was fantastic. The thing that's funny too about it, and we can move on to other things, that Curry had struggled shooting the ball up to that point.
It's just funny how you have a big, huge story with AGM getting fired before any coach. Then you have a coach getting fired. You have another coach who appears to be on the way out, and possibly a third coach.
I'll let you talk about those.
You have more betting scandal things going on, and you're going right with.
Oh, there's others. Monday was wild. Monday was absolutely wild. Crazy finishes. The Cavs Heat game where Andrew Wiggins got a lob at the buzzer, and Denise Jenkins, do you know who he is now? Well, you do now, because he hit a game-tying 3 at the buzzer with the Pistons to help that winning streak. They've won 9 in a row. Wembanyama, it was just a wild day. Some of the regular season games have been fun, but yeah, we do have major topics involving teams. I'm for sure. I'm not trying
That's
to bury
how I
the
know
league.
You're a fan.
Well, I'm not trying to bury the league.
Game,
it's the Pelicans who fired their coach.
They went 7-3. They're now 7-3. I'm like, oh, good. There's only another 60 games left, and everyone's going to forget about this.
There's a little bit of leveling down going on for sure, not just with teams but with players. We talked a lot on the last 2 episodes about Ja Morant. I don't want to sit here and circle back over and over again because I feel like the drama is going to keep going until February, but he basically took himself out of the game with a fake calf strain. And you could tell that his effort's not there. Zion and Jordan Poole were doing DNPs, and people kind of knew that it was very weird that they just decided, oh, we're not playing anymore until Willie Green was fired, which happened. Who's a couple of other ones that kind of did some self shutdowns? Paulo Banchero, was that another one with
Well,
a mysterious groin injury?
This is another injury for him. He's just getting that.
I understand that, but I think the timing's weird because you and Jamal Mosley just had a tete-a-tete in a press conference, and now all of a sudden you're not being able to play. I think he's showing him up.
For somebody who's had sort of a checkered injury history, much like himself, I don't think it's good. It's a good look to be like, oh yeah, I'm injured again, and
yeah,
I'm just gonna sit out till he gets fired too. No, it's a lot of who do you? Okay, we'll just start with the Pelicans since you mentioned them first.
Yeah, let's go ahead with the
It
Royal
was
Pelicans firing Willie Green.
We expected it. I had said in the previews and everything, like they've given themselves Dumars gave them this is a do or die mission for you guys. You got no pick coming. You guys got to do it yourselves. And they just went complete belly up almost immediately. Zion got injured again and then stopped playing. And then
can I put injured with with quotation marks on that one, Adam? About Zion? I mean, I do not think he actually got injured with like a hamstring thing. I think he just took himself out of the game until Willie Green was gone. Now he's actually been upgraded. Like he's actually probably going to play the games. Jordan Poole, it's very, 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 very obvious. He and Willie Green hated each other. Willie Green didn't want to put him in the starting lineup, and Jordan Poole hated that.
It
was
sounds
very
like
obvious.
Now that the reports are out and all the the sinking ship postmortems and whatnot, it seemed that nobody wanted to play for him and nobody liked him in the front office, and he was just widely
They weren't even
unpopular.
announcing his name on the PA at home. I don't know if you heard that story, but it's like there were like small things where you could lead to it. Also, Gail Benson had a very rare interview or press conference where she was talking about the teams. And it's weird though, because she kind of gave, I don't want to say a vote of confidence to the franchise, but she basically said, look, we know what we're doing here. And then 2 days after that was when Willie Green was fired on a Saturday morning after they badly lost to the Lakers at home.
Well, what else is she going to say? Now, let me just pause you right here. She has always been, since she married into the family, a football first. Football is
it's a Saints town, correct?
She was just given essentially that basketball franchise.
Yeah.
So she has never shown interest in it. So as the CEO, you're supposed to say, yeah, I trust the people in charge to do it. Now you have, just pivoting to the Saints for a second, you put Mickey Loomis in charge and people are like, he's not making good decisions here. This doesn't make much sense. But she's not hands-on. She doesn't know the first thing about anything. So
the experts, quote unquote. Yeah.
That's what you have to do. Of course I'm going to trust why would I hire president of operations if I'm not going to trust him to make the decisions?
Yeah.
Why Willie Green made it this far?
It's amazing to me. I mean, first of all, when they fired David Griffin last summer, I thought that was it, and it wasn't. My only assumption is that he had just signed an extension that nobody had announced at that time until like the season tipped off. And then and the reason why they waited this long was to lessen the buyout. That would be my one assumption behind the scenes.
Either that or just we'll give you a fair chance. We give you a new team. We know injuries sunk your team. Okay, we'll bring in some healthy players. We're going to change everything up because Sadiq Bey has been a nice comeback story for him. Trey Murphy has been solid. Derek Queen, like you said, has shown up and Fears as well. They've tried, right. So I think we're in, and I don't want to say they had this in the back of their mind by not letting Borrego interview for the New York bench because New York wanted to bring him over. They're like, no, we're going to keep him. You sort of don't do that because everyone else on the coaching staff, like James Posey, like they're not going to be interim coaches.
Right. So the thing too is that, I mean, here we go with conspiracy theories because that's one of our favorite things.
Your season.
I like to I like to flick them like a rubber band at you. I just want to see if you're gonna let it hit you in the face or you're just gonna swat it and stand up in the desk. But this is mine today. Okay, listen to it. Just tell me what you think. I think James Borrego was hired as the interim because the other guy who they were thinking about was Kevin Ollie, and Ollie got flagged for tanking that game against the Nets by the league. And that really, I don't want to say he pulled a Chauncey Billups, but he may have pulled a Chauncey Billups. So that's probably why they didn't go with him. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I think this is sort of the best, like, knowing in the back of your mind if it's not going to work out, you can't have nobody who's in there.
And Borrego was a head coach for the Hornets for multiple years.
We need somebody who has experience. The same way Portland, when Chauncey got jettisoned. Okay, Tiago Splitter coached Paris for a year, and then there's also another guy who was a coach whose name escapes me at the moment. But you need somebody in charge. You can't just have position coaches, if you will.
The offense is so bad, you can't. There's nowhere to go but up, and also in the standings, they're in the bottom. I'll give you my incredibly glass half full perspective on it. If you look, they are 2-10 right now. They are 15th in the Western Conference. They're not last in the league, I believe. I think that's the Pacers, which is unfortunate. Brooklyn. Well, here's the funny part. I think Brooklyn's up by a half game on Indiana, but I think I agree with you. I think Brooklyn is the worst team in the league, period. But anyways, I think there is potential there to rise. Now, they need a lot of luck, and they need to play their asses off, major league movie style. You know, like
they have talent. It's not.
But here's what I'm trying to say: like the Grizzlies, the Kings, the Mavericks. We'll talk about them in a little bit. The Clippers are fucking a bag of bones. You know, like the Pelicans can get above them, but they have to do it now when they're only a few games separated. That, like, this is why we had to make the move.
The funny thing, you know how bad basketball is right now, how the disparity of it. They are currently not the worst team, as you said, nor the second worst team. They're currently fourth. You have Brooklyn, Washington, and Indiana, who all have one win.
Washington was my candidate for the first coach fired. It was Brian Keefe. You won that bet. Now, I would have won the first GM fired bet if I had the chance, but
we would.
Me, which
technically, technically it's Chauncey if you want a suspension.
Yeah, you know, that is accurate. He was not terminated. He was put on immediate leave. That's what they also said about Terry Rozier in Miami. But yeah,
they're not going to bring it back till he's cleared. And this, I would imagine court cases don't seem to go fast.
They want to be able to fire him with cause.
I think he's going to be on ice for a long time when it comes to this. So okay, that's New Orleans' story.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Okay. I think Joe Dumars is proactive as a GM, and I think that's what attracted Gale. It's a guy who was an NBA legend who ran the Pistons for years and had a ring, and he had a grand plan going into the draft. And I think she kind of liked the urgency, and Willie Green was not in the cards when all these plans were made. It was like, hey, this is the team you're going to inherit. Joe's running the show, and we'll see how it goes from here.
Also, if you look at Gale and then the Saints, and you have going back to the parallels, you have Mickey Loomis going, we can compete. I need to trade up. I need to trade future assets to get the guy I want. I need to be aggressive. And so just Joe Dumars is, I want to be aggressive. I think our team is better than we could be. So there, and of course, she seems to like that style as opposed to it's okay to be bad for 3 years or so to restock and rebuild. She doesn't seem to be a fan of that. So
and it's always projecting for the draft until the day of the draft, or even like a year after the draft when you find out how good the players. Like maybe the 26th draft is bad. Some people are projecting that's very, very good. We don't know yet, but I know this: the Pels don't have their pick. Also, the Clippers do not have their pick. Did you know that?
Correct.
Yeah.
Not to pile on, but if not saying the vision is ultimately right or wrong, but the fact that you have a vision is better than sort of wishy-washiness, which now sort of moves to our next tale of the fired GM, which we knew was coming because it had become such a distraction. You hear it had players saying we don't want to play at home because it's a toxic environment, and you had Cooper Flagg, who seemed to have his coming out party on national TV, and all you hear is just the fans going, fire Nico.
Yes.
For what's supposed to be.
Was that Sunday night that happened, or was that?
I'm trying to remember what game Sunday that was. Night, because he was Sunday or Monday, whatever. All the days blend together for me. But you have such a toxic environment at home, you can't keep it going. And yes, everyone's gonna talk about it's the worst trade of all time, but if you factor in Cooper Flagg and you put that was technically a part of the deal, it's not the worst. And I don't even want to go, but I understand the the vision of I don't want to say, now that everybody's sort of kicking dirt on him, and then you have some people come back and when he was just the guy who suggested it. Everyone in the upper management who approved it and then went with it, they should all be gone too. They should just clear
Yeah,
house
right.
for that. But we
You
had
can't fire an
discussed,
owner. That's the problem.
no, not the owner, all the executives.
The underlings, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Nico had to take the fall for it.
Yeah.
We also said, I understand, as we see with Atlanta and Trae Young, I don't want to pay this guy the max for 5 years. I need to get out of his contract while at the highest possible value. The issue wasn't, I think they wanted to get rid of him, which, yes, people will hate it and be angry. It was the complete horrible return you got for it of, if you had just tried. I mean, Desmond Bain got 4 firsts, and all you could do was Anthony Davis and 2 firsts.
Well, that was the case, just like Dirk said on the Amazon show. Like, it should have happened in the summer because you would have been able to appropriately evaluate the trade and go, yeah, this was a terrible trade. A lot of people would have probably just said this was a terrible trade the moment it happened, but you do want to give a mulligan sometimes.
But they're going to be angry the same way.
In my opinions, Adam, it really happened when Kyrie Irving tore his ACL. Once that happened and they weren't going to be able to have a better team that one half season than the Lakers, they were done. They lost the deal.
No, it was Kyrie got hurt, and then AD got hurt last year, and then he got hurt again this year. So they're like,
yeah, can you explain to me the situation about his calf? I'm a little confused. It's one of those situations like we talked about last week where people are throwing out different intel to try to protect their person, but like some people are saying, oh yeah, 80 wanted to play, but the owner said no, and or 80
okay.
did. Oh, 80's not ready to play, but they were trying to push for it. Like, I can't
All
understand
right,
what's going on.
the player always wants to play because that's what they do. We look at Kevin Durant back with,
Except for Zion. Zion never wants to play.
but that's just the personality, and there are people like that who just, they don't have it in them. They could be the greatest in the world, but they don't have that drive. It happens.
Mhm.
But especially when you're 6'9", 6'10", your choices are limited, so you have to just be what you are. But Durant, you hear the stories of Durant came back early, and this person came back too early, and it led to the bigger injury. So he had a calf injury, and Nico's like, you should be good to go. But the doctors are like, well, he could now tear something if he comes back too early.
There could be a residual, more devastating injury.
Yeah, we don't want to tear your it's either Achilles or ACL or something. We don't want you to have this major tear if you come back too early. And Nico's like, yeah, he's fine. He can play. He got cleared. And he's like, yeah, I can play. And so then the president of the Mavericks are like, no, I don't want him out for the year because I'm already hearing enough of this. And
yeah. It's a shame for Anthony Davis, but let's be honest, Adam, it's not a surprise. This just speaks to his resume from year to year to year. He always misses about 20 games at the minimum. This is just something you have to get used to. The timing was terrible for Nico. I don't think that AD timed it out that way, to be honest. I don't think it was a take my ball and go home situation at all. I really, really don't. But I do think the Kyrie injury, which led to them just getting in the play-in and losing there because that's where they were going to top out at. That was really bad. And the horrible start, Klay Thompson looks washed. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, he does.
And there's other guys that they're having to use a lot of. They're not as bad as the Pacers in terms of attrition, but they already have been having a dip in guys like Brandon Williams and using Max Christie way too much. Like, they've been having to go way at the end of the bench to try to savor some of their lineups. They have won some games, but they've lost a ton. I think their record
you
right
had
now
Cooper
is
Flag playing point guard, which we've talked about.
Yeah, we have. And he is starting to come around. He is having good games. He's having double-double type games.
Because he's playing at his natural position. And I thought D'Angelo Russell was supposed to be that stopgap player, but it seems he can't crack kids'
Russell was weird. This was after the Nico firing. They had a game that went to double overtime against I think it was the Clippers, and D'Lo was the reason they got to overtime, but he was also the reason they lost the game. It was like a Russell Westbrook situation, but that's just D'Angelo Russell in a nutshell. But it's just the fact that you have to use him all the time that it just speaks to how battered they are. For Nico, yeah, was his firing a surprise? No. Was the timing of it a surprise? Yes. But the thing is, like, the fire Nico stuff, the fan furor, I don't even think the fans being that upset, Adam, is really what did it. We have a lot of upset fan bases in different markets and for different franchises where they just bang all the time saying they need to do this and nothing happens. It was the media jumping on top of it at the same time.
Well, it
Where
was everything, and then once you have the players saying, "I don't want to
and it
play
turns into an
here,"
echo chamber, right?
yeah, it's just I can't. We're losing. I can't play good because I have people booing me at home, and
Mm-hmm.
this is not a fun time. Again, just going back to it, we said it made sense. Luca, you want to get rid, you don't want to pay him. Trade it for somebody for defense. We said that was a more complete. If a healthy defensive player of the year, AD, this team would be completely different. And with Kyrie,
And you
and
know what's sad too? That the defense wins championships thing that turned into a kind of a joke because Nico kept going to it. They're actually fourth in defensive efficiency. Like they're actually a good defense. Their offense is dead last. That's the problem.
well, yeah, of course, you're good in defensive efficiency if you start 2 centers and 3 power forwards.
That's true. That's true.
If the other team goes cold from 3, then it's an
You
easy
got a
game.
shot.
Yeah,
you got a
it's
shot.
just you can't. They have no offense, and then they kept doubling down on big men. It's like maybe you should get a shoot. Yeah, okay, you put your money into Clay, him still being the shooter, and he can't shoot anymore, and he's on the downswing. But
That one where the ball slipped out of his hand in the corner was pretty bad. I know it was just one fuck up play, but it's still like it was bad.
but it sums up the team and the way it's gone and just the disappointment.
Yeah.
And we all bought in on them, and everybody bought in, and we're going to look at the sunny side up for, okay, they got it. They're going to respond to this. AD is going to be held.
My sunny side up on it is that when AD and Kyrie are healthy, they're actually going to play well, and they might actually tack up enough wins to get into the play-in. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that we're talking about are in the bottom of the, like, under the play-in scenario of the Western Conference, because that's where a little bit of the drama is. And we don't want to be a drama podcast. Like, let's sip the tea. But like, there are some times where when big news happens, where there's firings and people getting let go and things leading to trades because of conflicts, it's just something that has to be monitored. And we can talk. We have a lot of time on this show throughout the season to talk about the good things. The Pistons are awesome. I talked about their 9-game winning streak. The Thunder are just the Thunder are. They might win 70 games. They might win 70 games
As long as they stay healthy, because
the Knicks look good, but now Brunson's got the ankle. I don't know how bad it is. The Hawks look great without Trae Young. Jalen Johnson, I don't think he had the best game of the season. The best game of the season I saw recently was Jokic against the Clippers, where it felt like he couldn't miss. It was like
I wouldn't say the Hawks look excellent, and
they look good. They look good. They look like a composed team.
Cleveland looks kind of lost, which is surprising. I thought they would have had that.
I feel like they're relying more and more once again on Mitchell and Mobley to really deliver. And Darius Garland's been in and out of the lineup with the toe injury. He came back, looked good, then he went back out again. So I don't know what's going on with that. The Johnson line I saw was against the Jazz, which the Jazz are a sieve. Like, if you are doing DFS, if you're playing the Jazz, you're in good shape because he had 31 points, 18 rebounds, 14 assists, 7 steals, which is unreal. So, like, I think you hit it on the head when we were talking about the Hawks maybe a week ago, where Jalen Johnson is kind of ascending to a superstar status, if that's fair to say, or if you think that's too early.
And by talking about it last week, you mean next week on our Thanksgiving thanks episode?
No, you talked about it before. Because we talked about Trae Young's injury and how I feel like they're doing better without him. I really do. Also, Con Knipple, kind of awesome. He might win Rookie of the Year.
And with that, LaMelo Ball's injured again, and
you made fun of me that LaMelo Ball might get traded if Con Knipple shows that he can be the starting point guard. Well, who's laughing now? That's me laughing.
I don't think he's a starting point guard. He's
something, man. He's averaging like 20-something points a game.
because they needed a shooter and they doubled down on shooting. And
he's a sneaky beast. Everyone thinks he's this roly-poly-oly white guy with like pink cheeks. like he's like hustle, like he like he's Grayson Allen or something. Like this dude's really good, man.
No, yeah, Charlotte still has a problem of
Oh,
they
they're
don't
bad. They're bad. Yeah.
they are surprisingly bad, and that comes down to LaMelo Ball being hurt again,
Hmm.
and they still it's
That's another mysterious one that I don't
yeah,
want to
we
try to
they still
deep
don't
dive.
know what to do with him because when he's on the court, he's great. When he's but he's never
I feel
healthy,
like
and
it's a
then
situation similar to Zion in New Orleans and Paul, and also I have to say I think it's similar to Paul George in Philly, where I think what it is they're trying to keep him healthy, so they're trying to sit him out as long as they can possibly can in the beginning of the season, so that they don't rush them back and get them injured, in which case they can't trade him for anything. And I think that's what's going on with LaMelo because he always has ankle problems, so they're just trying to get ahead of it. But the problem is now you have this game that you have to play because you and I have talked about how Adam Silver is in the league is way more stringent on fake DNPs of like trying to figure out, hey, is this a legitimate injury or not? Because a lot of guys in the beginning of the season were not sitting games. Now we're seeing the leveling down where players are starting to take some DNPs. Like there was a Pistons game. They won the game, but all of their starters sat, every single one.
yeah, it's funny we had talks and they're all playing because they want these all NBA awards, and then all of a sudden now, well, we can't have long-term injuries,
The
so
Celtics can't sit anybody because they literally only have 9 players on the team. At
the
least if you
problem
look at the rotation.
the problem with the Celtics is the rotation is there is no rotation, and Joe
Correct.
Mazzulla keeps
But the good thing is Anthony Simons is playing well, and that's been helping them out a lot.
he started off slow, but now he's shooting, and then all of a sudden you have Jordan Walsh who goes from DNPs to getting like 30
A
minutes a
stopper.
game.
Yeah.
You have you have Josh Minot going from 30 minutes a game to DNPs.
Yeah.
You sign Chris Boucher and you don't play him at all. So it's just small ball lineups,
Yeah.
which are feisty. And I get that. That's his style. He just wants, but you're just giving up rebounding every time and it doesn't work. The disappointing thing about the Celtics is you can see when they're clearly overmatched early on by a better team. And it's just like,
Hmm.
yeah, they have no chance
My
of
my honest, very simple explanation for the Celtics, because they have a small roster, is that if they just we saw this when they played the Rockets, I want to say a week or two ago. If they play a team that's just got more height on them and they can get the rebounds, they're dead on arrival. They're going to get blown out. Now,
basically
if they can hustle and they can make threes, and Sam Hauser has not been great shooting threes so far. That can
no.
change. That can change. But like if they make their threes and Jalen is not worried about, putting that fake hair on his head and he's actually just trying to score, they actually can be feisty and win a couple. I've seen them win. They're 6-7 now. I've seen them win a couple. The Lakers are weird. I think once we talk again, there's a possibility LeBron will probably be back on the court based on all these reports that are coming out. I'm very interested to see what that looks like, but we'll see when we get to that point. And the Nuggets are just awesome. They're just an awesome team.
Very well. And
The
now
Rockets are the Rockets are really, really good, but I worry that their lineup is too gimmicky with the height. I wonder if that's going to get exposed in the playoffs really quickly. That's my one problem with them.
that's what we had criticized in the GM of why are you doubling down on big men and then you have no shooting and then Van Fleet goes out for the year and you really you got to rely on Reed Shepard, who again you'll hear on next week's Thanksgiving episode. We talked about how bad he's doing, and then he mysteriously started doing good all of a sudden.
Yeah,
So
and we also are. Let me ask you this: we might be? Let me ask you if we're at this point with certain teams where we're at the part of the show of Scooby Doo where we pull the mask off and we see the real them. Where we talked about this a little bit, but on the last show, but the Bulls, the Heat, the Jazz, the Blazers. Do you see a little bit of falling back, or do you think maybe injuries kind of clipped them a little bit, and they actually are going to be good teams and or do you think that they are getting exposed because people are starting to figure out what their playbook is?
well, there's tape on them now, and they're figuring them out. So yeah, Chicago had only to go down, and Miami we had always said is much like Philly of you can't take a bet on them because you can easily see them winning 50 or you could easily see them winning 30
But
and
their
you could
pace,
talk your
I don't think their pace is coming down. That's not fake. Like you have to play fast against them or you're gonna get blown out. So
yeah,
that's
but
one thing that's changed for them.
their ability to keep this up for the entire season, I'm not so sure about that.
I mean, Bam already had to take a game off. I mean, when you're playing more possessions, there's more possibility your players are going to get tired. For the Bulls, one thing that has happened for sure is that to start the season, their opponents were not making threes. It was like under 20%. That's leveled back to normal, and that's probably why their defense is now 18th. So that's one part of why they're starting to come back down to earth. Even the Bucks a little bit, even though Giannis is still on a tear. I watched them play the Lakers and with Luka and Austin Reeves, and they got destroyed, at home. So I'm wondering right now if Doc Rivers, I think there's just too much expectations on Doc Rivers. We need to bring it down a little bit where we think Doc Rivers sucks again so that he can win more games. And the Sixers are dropping some games too.
Again, the Sixers and Miami are two teams. I don't know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I think MB he's missed the last couple of games. I think that's a big part of it. I mean, if you have, I know MB can only play 20 plus minutes, but if you have MB, that's a huge weapon. Even if he's not the fixture of the offense, it's still a huge weapon. It kind of reminds me of, remember when the Suns got Barkley, but they still had Tom Chambers. So, but because of the fact that Barkley was in the same position, they had Chambers as like a six man, and he was very effective. Like that's what it kind of reminds me of with MB, where it's like, okay, you got these guards who are really awesome, and you have to like teeter towards that as the fixture offense, but you still got Joel Embiid on limited minutes. So why don't you just use him while you can? But he's been sitting games, and I think that's a big part of one of their problems. You want to talk about the Kings a little bit and the
I
fact
was
that
just gonna transition
we're
to
on the
them.
cusp of a blow up, possibly.
They're a cusp of just a complete implosion when you have Doug Christie, who is now apparently coaching for his life as he's calling everybody out in the
That press
media.
conference was very alarming.
It's very
Like,
unhinged.
yeah,
And we knew this team wasn't good, and we knew all their moves weren't going to pay off. With New Orleans, I bought into it, but you have to look really hard to buy into these particular, like Phoenix and New Orleans, and you have to buy in for the good, and everything has to turn up roses. Problem
yeah.
is, Kings, everything hasn't, and everything came to. And the funny thing about Doug Christie, which I didn't know, is he only had a 2-year contract.
I didn't know that either. So
When
when the interim tag was removed, he only got a 2-year deal.
he got a 2-year plus with a +1 team option.
Got it.
So that's why he's completely losing it because
He knows he's got to prove it, right?
there's no guaranteed money after this year for him. So there's no.
Oh yeah,
So the Kings,
he could be fired when the season's over. That's very possible.
he might not make it to Christmas
Right.
because this team is bad and
Russell Westbrook is, he's getting triple doubles every now and then. I think
he's the only
started one
positive
game.
story for them.
Let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this. Do you think DeRozan? There was also a clip where Zach LaVine in a post game was kind of complaining about how he's the only one that's playing defense on the team, and all the other young guys, basically calling out Domantas Sabonis without saying his name. That other guys aren't playing defense. I do think that LaVine and DeRozan deserve a little bit of the blame. And the only reason I say that is because they were so familiar with one another in Chicago that when they got there, they basically were like, hey, yo, we know what we like to do together. Let's just run our shit. And if Demo doesn't like it, that's just too bad. Because Doug Christie ain't going to sit here and override us and have Demo just run all the sets while we just stand in the corners. Do you think they deserve some blame?
Sabonis has never been known as a defensive wonder. He gets all the.
But your teammate calling him out is bad. It's a bad look.
Teammates are calling each other out. You have coaches calling all the team out. It's just a matter of time before the players then call the coach out, and then the coach will be on the sideline. And I don't even know who they would have to be an interim coach on that roster.
It's hard to say. It is a very young roster.
I meant the
coaches. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't have a lot of experience. Mike Woodson is the only guy I can think of.
That's essentially.
Yeah, you can't hire Bobby Jackson or Leandro Barbosa. They're too young. And then there's Michael Miller, who had not that Mike Miller. It was the Michael Miller who was an interim one year for the Knicks. Those are the only two guys.
Yeah, and having Woodson in there isn't really. It's also bizarre that they only have 5 assistant coaches, whereas it seems like teams these days have like 10.
Yeah, like the Thunder have a ton.
Yeah,
You know,
this is a very, but it, I think everybody's just saddened by the tragic turn of this team where they had shown such hope and such promise and everyone was excited for him. Everyone wanted Sacramento to do good and want Sacramento to be back. And it
Mhm.
just completely imploded. And we're just watching the
He
destruction.
traded Fox. Fox soured on the team, and that was the end.
And
You know,
speaking of implosion and things being done, you had brought up the Clippers.
hmm
Bradley Beal out for the year, being in
hip surgery, So- which just sounds like something an old person would get, anyways.
Chris
The,
Paul just looks washed up.
I think he had a Snell 3 games in a row. Am I saying that right? Where he had zeros across the board.
Everyone on that, as opposed to like Sacramento, everyone in the Clippers were saying the right things and they had the right attitude going in. It just appears, and Kawhi's injured again, or he was out a
Yeah.
few games.
He has a significant foot sprain. So basically, he hurt. It was very similar to what you were talking about involving Anthony Davis and the concerns about it, like an ancillary injury that leads to something worse, where he had an ankle sprain, but it led to like a problem with his foot. And I don't want. I mean, we could just sit here and talk forever about the aspiration stuff, where people think that, oh yeah, Kawhi's just loafing it because he's not getting his extra payments anymore. The bank is run dry. He's a guy that gets hurt a lot, and he's older, and you have to be careful whenever he gets an injury. And spoiler alert, Adam. Kawhi Leonard got an injury. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. James Harden looks fantastic because he's on a team where he's running the fucking show. Those Ty Lue accusations aren't going away anytime soon, and Avika Zubac can't do everything down low. It's a problem because their vets are just way too old. Like, they're being mocked on national television for how old they are.
Yeah, but everything was balanced until injuries came and you have next man up, and then just those guys get injured. And anywho, is there anything else you'd like to, any topic we missed this episode? Any
Uh,
conspiracy we
any
didn't go under for
conspiracy?
you?
No, I mean, we talked about the Kings. My one thing I wanted to bring up with the Kings is like, what is there that you can trade in order to get good value back other than Sabonis? I can't think of much because Keegan's poison pill, Keegan Murray, his poison pill. Monk is toxic. Westbrook is old. I mean, I can see someone trading for him, but why? And I just have a lot of trouble seeing the Kings do a fire
DeRozan can get
sale.
you
I
DeRozan can
don't
get you
think
something
so. I don't
for a
think so.
playoff contender in the West.
He's gonna want his 10 to 11 shots a game.
But for a team who's, we'll say, in the play in the West, it could be any of them. That might be something they need. Let's say Dallas somehow magically turns it around and they're in the
Mhm.
play-in and Kyrie's back. You can use DeRozan instead of Clay.
Mhm.
That's just an example. And those level teams who can use a shooter to be that missing piece. Levine Levine, he has another year left on his salary, but he's still good. And
He
yes,
is a good player.
Sabonis can get you a big haul to
Yeah.
retool
That's the key.
everything.
That's the one that everybody's gonna call for first. I don't know how Vivek's gonna handle it, but
Fire
we'll
the
see.
coach and then let's I he's gonna Sabonis for Vucevic straight up.
Yeah. And
We
another
need
team
more
that
Bulls to come
I
in.
mean, the Cavs and the Knicks being really good is not a shock. Everyone expected. The one I'm keeping an eye on is Toronto. They have a winning record. Their starters are playing. When their starters play, they look great. I'm just kind of curious of how good they really are, is what I'm trying to say. So,
So
you
just a
know.
couple of housekeeping notes.
hmm
Next 2 weeks we will be off, or I will be off. I will be far, far away. So next week, as I had mentioned, we have a Thanksgiving themed episode. And then the
Ooh.
following week, I believe we will go over our yearly NCAA NBA prospects.
Talking about the
Talking about
well,
not the good
the
NCAA players, because
the soon to be fabled 2026. No, I have no idea how good it is. I really don't. I have no inside track.
it's only the NBA prospects we are looking at. We're not looking at, because obviously, like every year, there's always a glue guy, a glue senior who's undersized, who is going to go over to Europe and have a good career out there. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
like
not.
Did you know Nigel Hayes is back in the league?
Nigel,
Do you
yes,
remember Nigel Hayes?
yes, in
I
the NBA, yes, I
to
remember.
to make people remember how old Nigel Hayes. Now his name now is Nigel Hayes Davis, but he's playing for the Suns. He went to Europe for a while and he came back after a successful run there. But Nigel Hayes is so old. He was a starter on the 2015 Wisconsin team that beat undefeated Kentucky 10 years ago. That's how old this man is. But he's back in the league. And by the way, he's playing on a Suns team that doesn't suck. That's the other weird part.
He's also 30. 30 is not super old. That's just a great story of
Adam, that 2015 Kentucky team feels like a million years ago.
I mean, it's a good story anytime you hear a player who went over to Europe and then managed to come back, like Shane Larkin, and it's just you don't want
I
to
remember
hear.
Anthony. The one that I remember was Anthony Parker, where he was like in his early 30s when he came into the league because he played in Europe for like a decade, but he was good. He played for the Raptors.
Yes.
I remember
So,
him.
anywho, we will be back in a couple weeks.
Mhm.
As always, you can catch all the archives at the Place to Be Nation Network. For Andrew Riche, I am Adam Murray. Happy Thanksgiving. See you in December.